From the staff to recruiting to schedule predictions, you've got questions, and we've got the answers. The Michigan Mailbag is back on this episode of Locked On Wolverines.
You are Locked On Wolverines, your daily podcast on the Michigan Wolverines, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Thursday. We're back and doing it. Locked On Wolverines podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. I'm your man on the ground, Isaiah Hole, publisher of Wolverines Wire through USA Today Sports Media Group. Thank you to all of our everydayers who watch or listen to the show every single day. Also, big thank you for making us your first listen. First, we're going to start with the leaders and best, then the victors, valiants in segment 2, and then our lightning round for the inconsistent or the new question askers. That is the Blue Crew. Let's go ahead and start with our leaders and best, starting with James Crudup at James Crudup 6. How much intel on behind the scenes culture or locker room issues / drama have you gotten over the years, but couldn't really comment about it? Were you ever off the Sharon Moore train before all the info came out? I hadn't really heard anything devastating. I mean, really, it started that USC week because I just kept on hearing kind of the typical, I mean, really from people that are going to essentially bootlick. It's the best way I can put it. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, it's so good over here. Everything's going so good. I will say in retrospect, I kind of look at some of the things that were told to me and can recognize, okay, there were some off things, but I think what you saw this last year is what you saw in 2024 as well. But I think the problem is there was a little bit of a, oh man, Sharon Moore managed to beat Ohio State, managed to beat Alabama in a year that no one thought that was possible. Whereas it kind of seems one of the things I was told going into the 2024 season was these kids are good enough that they're going to, that they might will themselves into the college football playoff. It didn't happen that way. But I think that they willed themselves to wins in those games. Certainly there was some happenstance, particularly in the Alabama game. But I think that they really willed themselves to wins. And I think it had very little to do with Sharon Moore ultimately. And, there were little things here and there that I had heard, or I was off the Sharon Moore train. I can tell you when it was. It was Wednesday show with Jack Tuttle, because that morning I had gotten some intel that indicated what was happening. And this was after the USC game, because I think it was Monday or Tuesday. I said, I still think that he's the guy and he'll fix it. And you'll note that Monday or Tuesday show was the last moment that I said that, because then I heard everything that was going on. And at that point, and I wasn't, early to that. I've talked to people that know, whether they're colleagues, they're Michigan students and stuff. I'd heard that some said yeah, this is very well known. I mean, I heard the rumblings. I shouldn't say I didn't believe them, but because I shared part of the story of how he had gone onto Sarah's Instagram when, she was in my life. And that raised some alarm bells for me. Right. So, yeah, I kind of knew that. So otherwise, no, I don't know that there was anything that was glaring and obvious. Okay. Spent a lot of time on that. Let's go with Josh Barr at Jadicki. There have been a lot of positive new with the new staff, but what is your biggest concern with them after seeing what they have done in the first month? Too early to tell. I don't know. There's nothing that I'm looking at and saying man, they got to get better at this, because the thing is part of it is college football itself is changing. So there's going to be some changes in general, but they've retained most of who we wanted to see them retain. My only thing was I would have liked to seen them go and get one or two different coaches that were just top of position in college football, not just within the ecosystem of the BYU, Utah of it all. That was it, right? But otherwise, it's too early to tell with a lot of this stuff. My brother in metal, Michael Wolf at MWolf21. Do you think the current fan excitement for this level for next year is too low, too high, or just right? I mean, I'm not really feeling a heck of a lot right? In terms of like, what's the fan excitement level? Some people are like terrible. Some people are like great. It just kind of feels like an even middle. And I think the even middle is kind of where you need to be, especially with the schedule. Just let the chips fall where they may in a year like this. I mean, that's kind of how I went into last year. And just let the chips fall where they may. See, I think that like they can go like, 8-4 or 9-3. I think that both of those are strong possibilities, just as much as 10-2, 11-1 feels lofty, not impossible, but lofty. I think you can get there, but I think the bigger difference is, how do they look? Do they look more disciplined? Do they look like, man, it's a hard out. They just missed on a couple plays. The other team made a couple plays that were just crazy, something like that, right? Like that's the kind of thing I want to see before I say anything's too high, too low, or just right as far as fan stuff. With the reports of players and parents saying how much better the new training staff is, I think should raise the excitement level. I would say so, but at the same time, I think you also have to factor in the schedule is brutal in a way that last year's wasn't quite as. I mean, maybe they're equal, but like, 8 home games compared to 6, but you got road games at Ohio State and Oregon. You bring in Indiana, Penn State, Iowa, Oklahoma. I mean, that's a rough schedule overall. Maybe it's the same as last year. I don't know. Spencer Whitmore, what's your thought about contracts with the players pertaining to NIL? I mean, I think it's necessary. I think they should always be very enforced. If it's like a guy signs and says, "No, I'm going to go somewhere else," I think, hey, you want to live in the adult world and get paid like an adult? Well, you're going to be upheld to adult responsibilities. I also think that they should be longer than a year. We need this free agency to not just be a free for all every single year. I think that's the other part to that. So that's my thought there. Finishing us out in segment 1, Edwin Simmons, our flex leaders and best at Simmons_Edwin. Happy Thursday, my brother in Christ. Do you believe Andrew Marsh will go over 1,000 yards next season? Hard to say. Because JJ Buchanan and Jamie French are going to play roles, right? So like, I think it's possible, but I wouldn't surprise me if he had like 800 yards and then someone else had like 6, it's hard to say. I'm not quite there yet. Which travel game do you look forward to the most? Oregon. Not looking forward to the flight. Actually, I'm kind of getting over. I feel like I had good flights to and from Florida. So I kind of feel like that. It makes me feel silly that I didn't go to Maryland in part because I just didn't want to be on an hour-long flight. I'm not, that's a long flight. That's cross country. But Oregon, I just wish it was earlier in the year. That gives Michigan an opportunity to, know what it's got, be able to go into that game. But for me personally, I just wish it was like more in like the 65 degree rather than like the 45 degree Oregon. Which upset can Michigan achieve this season? And he also asked for a win prediction, but I'm pretty sure I got that question again later, so I'll answer that one later. The upset that Michigan can achieve, I mean, I don't really know what this team is capable of yet, so I'm too early is where I'm at. Finishing out, he also says, will Whittingham's offense maximize the talent wide receiver, or does it risk underutilizing them? I think it will maximize them. And when I say maximize them, will it look like Ohio State? No, but I think you'll see guys like Marsh, French, and Buchanan suddenly look like, oh, wow, where's that been? All right, we've got so much more to get to and very little time to do it, as we always do. So we'll do that here in just a moment.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kalia Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. The WNBA has released its 2026 schedule featuring a 44-game regular season beginning on Friday, May 8th. The league's historic 30th season includes expansion teams Portland Fire and the Toronto Tempo, with opening weekend highlights such as Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever hosting Paige Beckers and the Dallas Wings, and a rematch of the 2025 finals between the Aces and the Mercury. In college hoops, South Carolina handed Vanderbilt its first loss of the season with a dominant 103-74 win. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts the same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment. Putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
Thank you for making Locked On Wolverines your first listen. As always, we do appreciate that. If you want to go deeper, delve deeper, go even further, then you need to join the Everydayer Club. That gives you ad-free access to the show. You can just, go right through all the real content. You don't have to sit there and wait for the real content. You just get it there. What's more, there's more content than that because you got the private members only Discord. I'm in the Discord. There's I think I don't know the exact number, about 100 of you now. It's become a wonderful little community of people talking, and you can tag me and I'll answer pretty much any question as honestly and openly as I can. And you can get that for just $5 a month or $50 per year. I mean, it is a steal when it comes to that. So go to lockedonwolverines.supercast.com or check the show notes to learn more. All right, let's go to the Victor's Valiant. Let's start with Wolverine Warrior at Wolverine Champ. What's the most likely way this upcoming season could go sideways? I think there are two ways. The concerns that we have of the front seven are realized, and the defense can't stop much of anybody, and everything ends up being like a shootout. And the offense takes a little while to gel. That would be it, right? To me, that would be it. I mean, it could go the other way, which is what we've seen the last couple years, but I think that's more likely that it would go sideways. Obviously, injuries at key positions is always also like we saw that with the running back unit last year. If one unit takes a bigger leap than expected, which one would actually change Michigan's ceiling the most? Quarterback. I mean, easily. But let's just, for the sake of what we were saying before, defensive line ends up being dominant, then that completely changes that first part that I said there. So that would be my estimation. Perry Mitchell, 08. We already know that this team will be at least competitive against teams with the pulse, but realistically, what's the floor for a good season with a schedule like the one Michigan has in 2026? The floor is probably 6-6, maybe 7-6. I'd have to look at the schedule again. Can I do that quickly? We're going to try to do that quickly. Let's see. Looking at mine. Okay, let me go through. So let's the floor. So games that I think are unrealistic for Michigan to lose would be Western Michigan, UTEP, Minnesota. I mean, that's a hard game, but Minnesota. So right now they're 3. Rutgers 4. Michigan State, which, I mean, that could be a better game, but still, Michigan's more talented at the moment. And UCLA. So, yeah, 6-6. Because the others are, I mean, I find it highly unlikely that they will go under 6-6. But the others that I mentioned here, like Penn State is still a very talented team, despite, we don't really know what they're going to end up being here. So I think that would play a little role in all of that. So, that would be the floor. LK Baird at Luke Baird 2016. Good morning. Brian Orr coordinated Air Force's defense for 4 seasons. They ranked highly in rush defense and takeaways despite limitations of defending the triple option. I was surprised to be here that he's working with special teams. Do you have any intel on why that is? No, I haven't. I did not hear about this until it happened. Sorry, I got something in my eye here. That's not like a tell of like, oh yeah, no, I don't know. Like body language. No, I that was just had something in my eye. But no, I don't know. But he didn't have a great year this last year. And someone asked me this later, but I'll answer it here too. He was being demoted essentially. So that kind of changed the calculus. He was not going to be the defensive coordinator next year. He was just going to be the linebackers coach. And it sounded like he just wanted another option. He has been a special teams coordinator before, and he was quality control special teams for Ohio State in 2016, the year that JT was short. So that's interesting in and of itself. So I'm guessing there was an Urban Meyer connection, if I was to just estimate that was kind of what happened there. K-Lob 711, with Michigan's schedule being released now, it's quite a gauntlet. Do you see any way that Michigan could navigate it undefeated or maybe one loss? Bryce's development over the summer will have a lot to say about this, I would imagine. God bless. Yes, it's possible. I mean, is it okay? Maybe that was the body language. I'm like, oh, let's scratch my nose now. If you don't know, like that's like they say body language. If you're saying something and you scratch your nose, that tends to mean you're lying. I mean, it is possible. Is it probable? No, it's not probable. But like, if you get like, let's say Bryce is like the real deal and the passing game really gets going, the offense is not one, because like, here's the thing is the way that the offense had been run before, that boa constrictor style, if you got Michigan's offense out of that, then the game was over. It was that simple. Now, if this is an offense that can just, hey, we're down 2 scores, but we're the type of team that you do not want to give up on. Like, we can still manage to stretch the field and score at any point in time. We score in bunches or something like that. I think then with that, that changes a little bit of the calculus, number one. And then if the defense can be at least, I mean, it's just not to say as good as it's been, but like, I mean, in that same kind of realm with an offense like that, then that kind of maybe changes it even more. So yeah, I think that it's possible. Is it plausible? I don't know. But like, if they go into that Oregon game 9-0, then anything can happen, right? And that's possible too. So you just kind of got to take it a game at a time is what I would say. DE Wolverine at KMOS _11. Does it feel like Coach Harbaugh part 2 in Ann Arbor to you? It does to me. Go blue. I don't know. Maybe not with that type of excitement, but like that level of seriousness, it kind of does, I would say. Oh, that's all I got there. Grand Bambino X at Colossus O'Cloud X. What are your thoughts on college football allowing jersey patches / advertising? Just seems to be another way greed is taking over college football. It could be a slippery slope. 1 will turn into 2 and 2 will turn into 3, etc. I mean, I'm in full agreement. I think I understand now, like things have changed. The problem is with college football here, like it's still like a financial ordeal, right? Because it's like, okay, now they got to pay the players. Now there's revenue sharing as well on top of that. And there are bottom lines that are affected. So you're trying to like even that out one way or another. So like in that aspect, I don't have a problem with it, but I don't really want to see them look like, I love advertising in F1. It's just kind of iconic and it's been that way. Don't want it in college football. So on the uniform. I hate looking at the NBA now and seeing like, premium equity or what a platinum equity on the LCA court. I know it's always been on the LCA court, but like, I just wish it wasn't that. That's all I got there. I'm not the one at William Cawthor 9. I've seen that the GM from Utah is available. Would they hire him and get rid of McGee? I don't think they're going to get rid of McGee, but maybe they do hire him and either move McGee or put this guy into another role. I think it's unlikely that McGee would leave his post period. I think he's invaluable at this point. How much would it help Michigan by hiring all of these coaches? I'm assuming you mean the ones that they brought in. I'm not really sure. We'll see. That's all I got there. How are you mentally, physically, and emotionally? I'm good. All of the above, man. I feel like I need to be a little bit better spiritually. That would be the one place, but like I'm happy, healthy, working out almost every day. Didn't yesterday. I was just too tired. Just kind of had a down day. You have one of those where it's like, man, I cannot wake up today. And that was me yesterday. So, otherwise, like working out 5-6 days a week, that's great and exciting to be back in the gym. I'm happy. I'm healthy. So that's all I can ask for. Justin Rambron at J Rambron. Who would you say is the worst transfer portal loss and who's the best addition? Easily the worst to me is Cole Sullivan. The best addition remains to be seen. I'm particularly excited about J.G. Buchanan and Cooper Patania over at CBS Sports, former Michigan staffer in the recruiting department. I believe he left after the 2017 season. He had him as the number 12 overall. I think 12, maybe it was 21, or maybe it was 18. Okay, we're just gonna throw numbers out there. I guess just whatever number is coming to mind. Like, he's the 148th. No, I don't know. He was up relatively high. I could look it up. I'm not going to. But I think JJ Buchanan, I'm super excited about. Said, what about the recruiting class? For me, it's Cole Sullivan versus JJ Buchanan. So, okay, we're right on board there. Recruiting side, it would be Julian Walker versus Moa. I mean, can't disagree. Thought you nailed it. I didn't even read forward on your question. And I mean, I did for the recruiting one. But yeah, I mean, it's hard when Julian Walker just gets named a 5-star and it's like, oh man, it was such a win at the time. But, c'est la vie. Zion Robinson would be an honorary loss as well. ZT Jones at @who_Zach Jones. Based on what you know, what version of Rod Moore should we expect in 2026? #GoBlue. I don't know. So based off of what I know is I don't know. I have confidence, but like it's hard to say until, I don't think that's answerable until, he gets out there. I think he would tell you that right now. Adam Casel at @Adam_Casel. Whittingham is hiring a lot of coaches like an NFL team. What do you know about Brian Knorr? Former head coach of Ohio. That's, again, another guy who's been a head coach somewhere. 2001 through 2004, I believe. There's been a lot of places, Air Force a lot. He was a former quarterback. He's one of those guys who, it seems like sometimes like you get these quarterbacks who end up, it's like you get someone that does something and then they end up coaching the opposite thing. That's kind of what he is, and then you get the other side. Like Josh Gaddis was like a defensive back and he ends up being a wide receivers coach, right? Was this part of what Whittingham asked for when he took the job? Is it part of this because they didn't have to pay any buyouts? This feels like a huge commitment to winning. Do you agree? I don't know the answers to a lot of your questions there, to be honest. But I mean, it's smart. Again, I think he's doing the types of things that you would expect Urban Meyer to do. And I think that's not an accident. Let me just put it that way. Jacob Shavaria at Shavaria. Indiana just won a national championship, played nobody in the offseason. Their 2026 schedule is even more pathetic. When will you accept that Michigan needs to do the same? 10-2 won't even cut it this year. I get the sarcasm because obviously they ran roughshod over some pretty good teams. And their schedule this year is also pretty hard. Yeah, I just wish the schedule was a little easier. That's just where I'm at, obviously. Nunya Biz at U of M fan _for life. Given the amount of turnover and contract extensions, there are not a lot of options, but what coaches will not survive next season? Well, you mean like the new ones? I really don't know. I don't know like what coaches will not. Or do you mean like head coaches at other schools? You're talking about Michigan? I don't know how to answer that. The Rican Raider at Hamstan87. Morning, Isaiah. Hope you're well. Predict the starting offensive line for fall camp. Okay, that we've got. So I'll go Blake Frazier, Evan Link, Jake Guarnera. Kind of torn on my. I feel like there's someone I'm gonna miss here. So let's go Sprague Babalola. Yeah, let's go Sprague Babalola. It could be a Phobie too, but like that's what I'm gonna go with. All right, we're gonna move on. We've got so much more to get to in our lightning round. I have no idea how much time we've taken. We're about where we normally are, so we're gonna get to that here in just a moment. But before we do, let's be real. Managing your finances can feel overwhelming. Between subscriptions you forgot about, bills that keep going up, and trying to figure out where all your money actually goes each month, it's easy to feel like you're losing control. And who has time to track every transaction and hunt down hidden fees? That's where Rocket Money comes in, the personal finance app that helps you take control. It finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. I was shocked when Rocket Money showed me that I was paying for a Planet Fitness membership that I had literally never even used, and I completely forgot about. Now that saved me money already, right? So I love how it tracks all of my subscriptions, lets me cancel them right in the app with just a few taps. No more hunting customer service numbers. That was crucial when I was trying to get my mortgage. And the automatic transaction categorization is a game changer. I can finally see how much money I spend on DoorDash every single month. Actually, DoorDash just got delivered with some groceries that I didn't get when I was out and about. So there you go. That's how it'll show up. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. All right, let's finish out with the Blue Crew lightning round. This thing, answers aren't going to be quite as long. There's a couple here that might move up here soon. Ethan Smotherman's, I see you, man. You're gonna move up here before too long. But let's start with Will Velderman at well, again, we're not going to even read the Twitter handles on these because some of them are just it wastes as much time as I'm currently wasting. Let me put it that way. Any news on position changes? I've heard rumors of Mason Curtis moving to linebacker and Tatum move to safety. Is anyone else changing positions? I answered that last week. I don't know. It's too early to say, right? They're in winter conditioning. They're not in spring ball yet. Jason Macwin, why would Air Force DC leave coordinating role for a low-level position? I mean, Air Force is not a bad job because he was already being demoted to linebackers coach. That's why. Unless I'm wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what I saw. He already lost his defensive coordinator role. Ian Westbrook, what is more probable for the offense in 2026? Marshall and Hyder combined for 1,500 yards for a season, or Underwood throws for 25 TDs? I mean, Marshall and Hyder probably. And I mean, like, if they were good with passing touchdowns and everything, but I just think still like the Michigan DNA that's already exists is, I mean, I would be surprised if that's all they got, unless, there's injuries. I think that they'll do better than that, than 1,500, to be honest. Chris at U of M, Chris 25, with a recent mid play in the number 1, Kakoa Crawford, Donovan McCulley, Andrell Anthony is wearing number 2 now more of an honor than wearing number 1. No, not necessarily. I think that Crawford felt like, he asked and they gave it to him. McCulley and same thing with Anthony. McCulley felt like he was honored to get it because of what he did in spring ball, but it just didn't really translate to the entire season. And there's reasons beyond him that they're, the stuff we talked about, first question, so on and so forth, that kind of played a factor in that, I think. Ethan Smotherman, what are your thoughts on the schedule? Record predictions. If I was going to do a record prediction, it would just be a nebulous 9-3. Again, I think it's a really hard schedule. I think they'll be better, but have the same record as last year, and maybe beat someone that they're supposed to. We've seen some Whittingham teams not, lose to someone that they're not supposed to. So that might be a thing. But thoughts of the schedule is brutal, and at least a lot of home games that gives Michigan more of a fighting chance. But I think it's a brutal schedule, more so than last year for sure, even though that was 6 away games. Mark Zimmerman, I'm really excited to see what all these new coaches will do to contribute to the success of this team. When you look at the whole coaching side of Michigan football, what excites you the most? What concerns you the most? I'll start with the concern. My concern is that, and it's a very light concern, but as much as we've talked about, like, you got to, trust these coaches, they've done more with less, is that they can't do more with more. That's my only concern. And that's kind of why I would love to see some more, like, hey, they went out and grabbed like some superstar, coach to coach something. I don't know where. I don't have one particular coach that I'm looking at and say, yeah. And I'm just saying, like, yeah, they grabbed a superstar. I don't mean this because I think Micah Simon's going to be really, really good. But like, oh, we went and got the best wide receivers coach in the country that wasn't Brian Hartline, type of thing, right? Like that's kind of it. And they might have done that with Micah Simon and Marquez Hagans, right? But you're seeing how they're going with levels, and that's going to pay dividends, I think. As far as excites me the most, I mean, I just think that you've seen just the fact that these guys have all done it. I mean, if there's a coach that excites me the most, it's probably Jim Harding. I think that he's going to be like a kid in a candy store. Josh T, can you provide any insight on the John Henry Daly injury? He ruptured his Achilles. You think he'll be ready for fall camp? It kind of sounds like it, but let's see. He said he'd be ready by June. So, I mean, yeah, fall camp, there you go. But ruptured his Achilles, that takes a while. That's not just like an ACL with a surgery and all of that the same way. I don't believe. I'm not a doctor. But you know who is a doctor? Jacob Phillips. No, I don't know if he is. I just why did I do that? Has there been a resolution for the investigation in the athletic department? Not as far as I know. I last asked about it last week, and I was told it was still ongoing. The Brad F. Kauser. Wow. That's like, there's a Simpsons joke. It's like, never mind. I can't do it. It's from like a mid, like season 15-ish, but he just asked next commit. And I don't know. No one knows at this point, right? Like, it's a new coaching staff. There's no one that's like, oh yeah, they're obviously right about to. There's no like new crystal balls for a commit at this moment. Andy Schlitz at Slanty Ray. Is anyone else concerned with Marshall's shoulder injury being the lead back, especially with his physical style of running and dislocated shoulders once it happens, because once they can happen again pretty easily. New strength staff might help some of that, but no, I'm not concerned. Michigander at Michigander 1426, besides Savion Hyder, who's one freshman you're looking forward to the most. Celeste Moa, easily. Nelson Bannon, on a scale of 1 to 10, how well have things worked out for the Michigan football since the Sharon firing? Anything that could have happened to make this number higher? I mean, like a different, like, I don't want to say a different coach. There are still coaches I would have taken over Whittingham, and I think he's impressed me more than, say, like Dillingham. I like the Whittingham hire more than Kalen DeBoer. Still would have loved Jeff Monken, who just accepted the Cleveland Browns job. Wasn't good enough for some of you. Good enough for the NFL. That's how that goes. Blue Captain at Mason Blue 360. With our schedule, I really think the game will be a deciding factor in or out of the playoffs, the way it should be. With them hiring a known NFL caliber OC, any concern with him being a good run scheme guy? Maybe, but it might come at the expense of the passing game. Could we see a shift in play styles from both teams this year or next year? I think that's certainly possible, right? Ohio State was a run-first team until, 2018? So now, like, basically don't even do anything with the run. This year they did more, but David Ross, hey, Isaiah, I hope you're well. A few questions. What does Michigan's offensive identity look like under Whittingham? Power first, balance, or more modern? A little bit of all, right? Like, certainly a run first. I think you're going to see more zone blocking, but don't hold me to that. But like, certainly it's like a modern pro spread. That's the best way I could put it. And finishing us out, Bill at Hendu442. Good morning. Looks like things are shaping up well with the new coaching team. How is recruiting going? I mean, it looks like it's going well, but like, let me give you one quick caveat. Don't put all of your eggs into the basket of the idea that like Michigan's going to start finishing with like top 5 classes. They're not. And it's not. And even if it finishes lower than kind of what you're accustomed to with Jim Harbaugh, that's more of a feature than a bug, because now the transfer portal exists the way it does. And now recruiting is starting to demand more money for guys who are just going to leave after a year. So I think you're just going to see a little bit of a mentality shift. So that's all I got there. All right, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will talk to you again on Friday. Peace.